On a cold, quiet evening, the cemetery lights flickered against the soft drizzle as a young woman stood alone before a grave, her thin shawl soaked through, her hands trembling as she clutched a wilted bouquet she could barely afford. Tears streamed silently down her cheeks, falling on the marble stone as if trying to resurrect a memory she refused to let go of. Her voice cracked as she whispered apologies to the name engraved before her, and though she tried to keep the sobs quiet, grief broke from her chest like something long imprisoned, raw, aching, desperate. She didn't notice that behind her, a black luxury car had pulled up and a tall man in an expensive coat stepped out, watching her from a respectful distance. His eyes softened with shock when he recognized the grave she stood before, his wife's. She had died 3 years earlier, a car accident that shattered his world, and though he visited every month, he had never seen anyone else cry for her. "Excuse me," he finally said gently, not wanting to startle her but needing to understand, "this is my wife's grave. Why are you here?" The girl flinched, wiping her tears fast, embarrassed and frightened like she had been caught trespassing. "I'm sorry, sir," she whispered. "I didn't mean to disturb anyone. I shouldn't even be here." She turned to leave, but he stepped softly closer, not blocking her way, simply offering the kindness she wasn't used to. "You're not in trouble. I just want to understand," he said with a voice carrying both curiosity and a strange, unexpected hurt. The girl hesitated, her eyes full of fear, the kind born from poverty and years of being dismissed. "I come here because," she paused, swallowing hard as her breath shivered. "Because your wife once saved me. She didn't know me. I was just a stranger. But she changed my life, and I never got to thank her." The millionaire's heartbeat thudded unexpectedly. His wife, Elena, had always been compassionate, always helping quietly, never boasting. "How did she save you?" he asked, his voice now almost a whisper. The girl lowered her head, remembering something both painful and beautiful. 2 years ago, I was homeless, sleeping near the old train station. I had nothing, no family, no roof, no food. People walked past me like I didn't exist, and I had almost convinced myself they were right, until she came, your wife. She sat beside me, shared her meal, wrapped her scarf around me, and talked to me like I was a real human being. She told me the world hadn't given up on me, even if I had given up on myself. She made me promise I would try one more day. The girl's voice cracked as she smiled weakly through tears. She gave me hope, and the next day, I found a small job. I started saving. I survived because she stopped and cared. But I never saw her again. I didn't even know her name until I saw the news about her accident. And since then, I come here on her death anniversary to leave flowers. It's all I can do." The millionaire felt something collapse inside his chest. Pain, pride, sorrow, gratitude, all tangled together. Elena had told him nothing. Maybe she never thought it important to mention because for her, helping was not a story. It was a way of living. He stared at the girl, noticing now how thin she was, how her shoes were torn, how her eyes carried years of suffering hidden behind courage. "You almost froze out here," he said softly. "Why didn't you ask for help?" She almost laughed, brokenly. "People like me don't get help, sir. We survive or disappear. That's just the way life works." The millionaire shook his head slowly. "It shouldn't be." Without warning, the drizzle grew heavier, and he gently offered her his umbrella. "Come with me. Let me take you somewhere warm." She immediately backed away, frightened. "No, sir. Please. I'm not looking for money or charity. I just came to say thank you to her. That's all." The man stepped back, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "I'm not offering charity. I'm offering respect. You honored my wife when so many people forgot her. The least I can do is hear the rest of your story." The girl's lips trembled at the unexpected kindness. No one had asked her story in years. She nodded slowly, and together they stood before the grave, one morning a wife he lost, the other morning a hope she found too late. And as the evening deepened, something quietly shifted in the air. Two broken lives, connected by a woman whose compassion continued to ripple even from the grave. The millionaire invited the young woman to sit with him on a nearby bench under a canopy, shielding them from the rain as he asked gently, "Tell me the rest, what happened after she helped you?" The girl hugged her arms around herself, as if trying to warm years of cold memories. "I worked at a cafe washing dishes," she began softly. "It wasn't much, but it was honest. I saved every penny because her words kept ringing in my ears. One more day. Just try one more day. I tried, sir, every day, even when it hurt. After a few months, I rented a tiny room. I thought things were finally changing, but life doesn't like to stay gentle." Her eyes darkened. "The cafe closed unexpectedly. I lost my job. Then my landlord raised the rent, and I couldn't keep up. I sold almost everything I owned, but it still wasn't enough. I was evicted last month. I'm back on the streets again. I tried so hard, but sometimes trying isn't enough." The millionaire felt his throat tighten. He had spent years drowning himself in work after losing his wife, building wealth he no longer cared for, surrounding himself with luxuries that didn't bring warmth. Yet here was someone who fought every day just to survive, someone his wife had believed in. "Why didn't you seek shelter?" he asked. She shook her head. "Shelters are full, and dangerous for women. I sleep near public places. People stare at me like I'm a stain on the city. But I don't want to steal or beg. I just want a chance." Her voice broke again, and she quickly wiped her tears, embarrassed to cry in front of someone so powerful. But the millionaire felt something awaken in him that had been dormant since Elena's death: purpose. "My wife used to say," he murmured, staring at the grave, "if you save one person, you save a world." I didn't understand it then. But now, I think I finally do. She looked at him in confusion as he continued, "You are not a burden. You are not invisible. You mattered to her. And now, you matter to me." The girl's breath caught, unsure whether to believe him. She had been hurt too many times by promises that turned into disappointment. "Sir, why would you care about someone like me? You don't even know my name." He smiled sadly. "My wife would have wanted me too." Those simple words shattered her defenses. "My name is Lily," she whispered. "I'm Daniel," he replied softly. "Lily, would you allow me to help you? Not as a charity case. As a gift my wife left behind for me to find." Her eyes widened, tears rising again, this time not from grief, but from the shock of being valued. "What do you mean?" Daniel took a slow breath. "Come work for me. I run several community outreach programs. We help people rebuild their lives. Education, jobs, housing. I used to fund it just for appearance, but I think it's time I actually get involved. You can start by helping organize the Women's Support Center. I believe your experiences give you a strength most people never learn." Lily stared at him, disbelief shaking through her. "Work? For you? But I'm not educated. I'm not anything special." Daniel shook his head firmly. "You survived the kind of life that would break most people. That makes you extraordinary." Lily burst into tears, covering her face as her knees weakened. For the first time in years, someone had looked past her poverty, past her brokenness, and seen her worth. Daniel gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "Come, let's get you warm, fed, and safe. My wife saved you once. Now let me continue what she started." Lily nodded, still trembling, still overwhelmed. They walked toward his car, but before leaving, she ran back to the grave, kneeling one last time. "Thank you," she whispered to the woman she never truly met but who had given her life twice, once with a scarf, and once through a grieving husband who still carried her love. From that night forward, Lily's world transformed. Daniel provided her with a small apartment and enrolled her in training programs. She began working at the support center, helping women who shared her struggles. Her warmth, her resilience, and her sincerity made her a guiding light. And Daniel, through her, rediscovered the purpose he had lost when he buried his wife. In time, they built an entire foundation in Elena's name, lifting hundreds of lives. Not out of pity, but out of the belief that no one's story ends in the graveyard where despair begins. And every year, Lily and Daniel stood together at Elena's grave, not as strangers, not as broken souls, but as living proof that even in death, kindness continues to bloom. And if Elena could see them, she would surely smile at the legacy she left behind. One act of compassion saving a world she never knew she touched. If this emotional story touched your heart, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring more powerful and inspiring stories to life. Stay connected for more heart-touching content that reminds us all, kindness can change everything.